Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm Anna. Today, I want to start with a simple but slightly uncomfortable idea. Everything you consume, you pay for twice. Not once, twice. The first payment is obvious. It's money, time, attention. But the second payment, that one is invisible, and it's often much more expensive. Let's make this concrete. You buy a course, you pay money. That's the first payment. But then comes the second one. Do you actually finish it? Do you practice it? Do you turn it into a skill? Because if you don't, the first payment was wasted. And this applies to almost everything. Books you don't read, gym memberships you don't use, apps you download but never open again. We think we've paid, but in reality, we've only paid half. The second payment is not just effort, it's attention. And more importantly, it's identity. Everything you repeatedly consume starts shaping you. If you constantly watch short, fast content, your attention span changes. If you consume thoughtful, deep material, your thinking changes. So every choice has a hidden cost, not just what you spend, but what you become. This connects directly to something you may have heard before, the idea that mastery takes around 10,000 hours, or if we stretch it, 30,000 hours over a lifetime. But here's the key point. Those hours don't come from big decisions. They come from repeated small ones. What you watch every day, what you practice every day, what you choose to repeat. Because every repetition is a payment, and over time, those payments accumulate. Here's the paradox. The cheaper something feels, the more expensive it might actually be. Scrolling endlessly feels free, but it costs your focus. It costs your time. It trains your brain to expect constant stimulation, and that makes deep work harder. On the other hand, something that feels expensive, like practicing a skill or repeating something difficult, often pays you back later. So the real question is not, how much does this pay? But what will this turn me into if I keep doing it? Let's be honest. The second payment is uncomfortable. It requires effort, consistency, repetition, and there's no instant reward. That's why we stop at the first payment. We like the feeling of starting, buying something new, trying something new, but we avoid finishing because finishing requires repetition, and repetition feels boring. If you think about it, repetition is the real currency of growth, not intention, not motivation, repetition. Every time you repeat something, you are investing in a future version of yourself. And this is where the idea of 30,000 hours becomes powerful, because your life is basically the sum of what you repeat, not what you plan, not what you hope, but what you actually do again and again. Over time, people start to separate into two groups: those who pay twice and those who only pay once. The first group, they buy the course and finish it. They learn something and practice it. They repeat until it becomes part of them. The second group, they consume but don't transform. They collect information but never turn it into ability. Same starting point, very different outcomes. So here's a simple shift you can try. Before you consume anything, ask yourself, am I willing to pay for this twice? Not just money, but time, focus, and repetition. If the answer is no, maybe it's not worth starting, because the real cost is not the beginning, it's the continuation. If you take this seriously, your choices start to change. You consume less, but you use more. You start fewer things, but you finish more. And most importantly, you begin to respect repetition because you understand that's where the real transformation happens. So let me leave you with this idea. Everything you consume has a hidden price. You always pay twice. The first time with resources, the second time with repetition, and only the second payment actually changes you. So the question is, what are you willing to pay for twice? Because in the end, your life is not shaped by what you try, but by what you repeat. Thanks for listening. I'm Anna, and I'll see you next time.